Well, hello everybody, all my knitting friends. Today is part 2 in my knitting for beginners, and today, last time I shown you how to cast on and how to knit a row and how to purl a row. Well, today I'm going to show you how to do the rib, which is the welt or the cuff of cardigan or jumper, etc, etc. So I'm going to do that. Now what I've decided to do, instead of doing squares and that, just to begin with, because I want to teach you how to read a pattern and everything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way through one of these cardigans. This is called a V-neck, as you can see, it's self-explanatory, and this is a round neck. And I picked this pattern, it's a baby pattern. The reason I picked this pattern is because I can go through the pattern with you and go through the pattern itself, you know, because I want to show you how to do I can't remember what this stitch. I want to show you how to do the pattern and how to use a cable needle to make the cables. That is my plan. And how to increase and how to decrease. So I thought if I did a baby pattern, you could then transfer it across to a pattern for yourself. Also, I want to, in future videos, I want to on some knitting patterns, it's just plain knit a row, purl a row, like what you get on machine bought jumpers and cardigans. But I want to show you how to kind of make it more so it's not so plain, where you, instead of knitting into the front of the knit stitch, knit into back, and it kind of twists the loop. That's a really good night, so it gives some interest to your jumper or cardigan or tank top or whatever. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make a start on this. I've already started it. I've done a couple of rows, and then we will I'll show you how to knit a row, purl a row, no, how to do a rib and read a pattern. Okay, so let's make a start and I'll tell you how to head. Okay, so this is the pattern. It's a double knit pattern, and it's for a baby, 16-inch to 24-inch chest, or 41 to 61 centimeters. So first thing I want to do, run through with you, so I'm going to bring you right the way down so you can see it. So here it says Raglan cardigans, and that means that the sleeves are, you've kind of got when you're knitting your cardigan, it goes into like a triangle, so you've got a triangle top, and that's called a raglan. So that is why it's called Raglan cardigans. And then if you see across the top, it gives you the chest measurements: 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6, 6 to 12, 1 to 2, 3 to 4, etc. And then the actual measurement size, the full length of it from the top to the bottom, and the sleeve length. And then it gives you the quality. So for the pink and cream one, you need 2 balls of the pink and a ball of the cream. And for the V-neck cardigan, you need 3, and these are 50-gram balls. So you just pick your size. And what I tend to do when I pick a size, I usually mark it in a pencil, because pencil is easier. And what I'm doing is I'm going for the first size, so I'll just put a little circle round the size that I'm picking, and then it tells me then the quantities of yarn are based on an average requirements and are therefore approximate. So I need the materials, then I need a set of 4mm needles, which are 8 in UK, or USA is the number 6. And then I need a pair of 3/4 size 10 and a size 3 in USA. I need a cable needle. My cable needle will be the same as my size 4 needles, 4mm. So I've got that. And I need 5 buttons, and I'm going to be doing the V-neck jumper. So I just do a tick there. And then it gives me tension. Now on my first video I went through the tension with you, and if you're new to knitting I would always recommend that you do a tension square, because if you knit too tight, go for bigger needles. If you knit too small, the next size up needles. So I'm using 10s and 8s, and I know my tension, it will be fine with these needles. If it's too loose, you'll need to go to a 9 and a 7, and if it's too loose you'll need to go to an 11 and a 9. So depending on how your tension is, and you read your tension, and it's that, and if less stitches use a thinner needle, which is what I've said, and if you use more, use a thicker needle. The abbreviations are all here, and they're highlighted in bold, and it tells you CN cable needle, cont, continue, decrease, following, etc. So they're all really self-explanatory here. Okay. Now, crew neck cardigan, I'm not doing that. I'm doing the, let me see, I'm doing the, where is it? V-neck cardigan. Now the V-neck cardigan, it tells me that I use the same colour throughout and work as the back of the crew neck. So I can go back to the crew neck and I know to follow this pattern for the back. Okay, and so I've chosen the 3 months, which is the first size. So I've got my 3/4 needles, or size 8 or 6, depending on what they have on the stub at the end, and I need to cast on 47. So I'm just going to put a little pencil mark there, and then it tells me the first row I have to knit 1 stitch, purl 1 stitch to the end, and the little asterisk means that I just follow purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit. After I've knitted the first stitch, I then need to purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, and the same for the second row. But in this instance I'm going to purl 1 row, knit, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, and it then tells me that these 2 rows will now be referred to as 1 by 1 rib, and then I just continue in the rib until it measures 4 centimeters or 1.5 inches. So, and then it tells me then about how to increase to get from 47 stitches to 60. So I've already made a start, and I just go through the ball band. I'm using again I'm using Deramores Studio anti-pilling double knit, and it's heather, and I've got the lot number. Now what I didn't mention, and what my dear friend Jane pointed out, that when you pick your wool and you're doing a jumper, for example, and I needed 3 balls of this, well, I'd need 5 balls, 5 100-gram balls. I buy when I knit myself a jumper, and I know that is going to be plenty. So when I do, I always make sure that it's the same numbers. So here it says Heather, and then I've got a number which is the batch number, which is 70046, and then the lot number is 225. So when you buy more than one ball of wool for any project, always make sure that the batch number and the lot number match, are the same, because they can vary so very much in the colours. So that is that is something that you must check out. So I'm just going to put that back there because I don't need my cable needle and I don't want to lose it. So I've already made a start, as you can see, and I've shown you how to cast on, and I've got my needle, and I always, well, in fact I automatically do it. So you knit your first stitch, you put your yarn round your needle to purl in, round, through and off. You put your yarn to the back of the stitch, and then you knit in, round, through and off, and then you bring your yarn round in through the front. Remember, in our purl stitches always the needle goes into the front of the stitch on your left hand. You put your yarn round your needle, you pull through, and then you take it off, and then you put your yarn to the back of the needle in, so you make a cross and your needle goes to the back of the knit stitch, yarn round needle, through and off. So yarn forward, needle, right needle into the front of the left needle, yarn round needle, pull through and off, yarn to the back, in through the front of the right needle goes to the back of the stitch on your left hand, yarn round needle, pull through and off. So yarn forward, in through the front, yarn round needle, through and off, yarn to the back, in, round, through and off, yarn to the front, needle into the front of the stitch, yarn round needle, through and off, yarn to the back, in through the front to the back of the yarn, yarn round your needle, through the needle and off. And that is the start of the welt cuff. I call it the rib. So I'll just work my way through this. So it's yarn round needle, in through the front of the stitch, round the needle, through and off, yarn to the back, in, round, through and off, yarn to the front, in through the front, yarn, needle into the front of the stitch, round, through and off, yarn to the back, knit, yarn round needle, through and off. And I'll do one more. Yarn to the front, purl, needle into the front of the stitch on your left hand, yarn round needle, through and off. And I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to continue ribbing this row. I'll try and go as slow as I can. And you will get used to how you hold your needle. You will find what is comfortable for you. Everybody who knits is different. Nobody knits exactly the same. We all have our own likes and dislikes on how to hold our needles. I knit differently to my mum and my friends. How I hold my needles is how I feel more comfortable. So I'll just do the last 4 and I'll go slow for you. So it's in through the front, round the needle, back, yarn to the back, knit the stitch, yarn to the front, right needle into the front of the stitch, yarn round needle, through and off, knitting the last stitch. So it's in, round, through and off, and that is, so I've done 5 rows, I think, 2, 4, 7. I've done 7 rows. So it says here ending with a right side row, and you can see WS is the wrong side. So what I need to do is I need to finish on a pale row so that I'm ready to do my increase. But I want to show you how to whoops, pull out some wool. So now on this pattern it says pale 1, then an asterisk, then knit 1, pale 1, and repeat from the asterisk to the end. So that is what I'm going to do. So my first stitch is a pale stitch, so into the front, round, through and off, and then put my yarn to the back of the stitch, needle, I beg your pardon, knit this stitch, yarn to the front of the needle, pale, in through the front, round, through and off. I'll go a bit slower, sorry. So it's in, round, through and off, yarn to the front of your needle, needle into the front of this pale stitch, pale, yarn round needle, through and off, yarn to the back, knit the stitch, yarn to the front, needle into the front of the stitch, round, through and off, knit, round, through and off, yarn to the front, in, round, through and off, yarn to the back, knit, yarn to the front, pale. And if you remember, when you're knitting, your yarn goes to the back of the wool. When you're paling, your yarn goes to the front of the wool. So I'm going to be knitting and off. I'm going to pale, yarn to the front and pale. And if you just remember, knit in, round, through and off, it just kind of, you'll start chanting it in your head. So it's in, round, through and off, yarn to the front and paling, in, round, through and off, to the back, knit, to the front, pale, to the back, knit, to the front, pale, to the back, knit, in, round, through and off, to the front, knit, in, round, through and off, in, round, through and off, to the front, a pale, in, round, through and off, to the front, in, round, through and off, to the back. I'm going to knit, in, round, through and off, to the front, a pale, in, round, through and off, to the back. I'm going to knit, in, round, through and off. To the front, purl. To the back, knit. To the front, purl. To the back, knit. Doesn't it look very nice? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish this row off. So there we have it. Now that, to measure that, another good thing on most patterns, they have a tape measure on the side. So I just want to check how this is, and don't forget I've got to do 4 centimetres, and I'm not far off 4 centimetres. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do I'm going to go away. No, in fact, I'm going to sit here. I'll just fast forward. I'm going to knit another couple of rows and get to the place where I want to do the increase row, because I'd like to go through the increase row with you today. So I'll just work my way through, and I'll fast forward and play some music while I'm just doing this. Okay, so now it's 4 centimetres, and I want to do, I'm just going to go through the increase row with you. So it tells me here, I'm doing the first size, so I need to do this. So it tells me to rib 6 and pick up loop lying between needles and work into the back of this loop. So, and this will now be referred to as M1. So I need to do 6, so 1, purl, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I hope you can see it. There's a loop, there's this here between them. If I lift it up, if I can just, if you can see, if I get my hook, you'll be able to see. There, that is the stitch that they may want me to make a stitch with, and it tells me to knit in the back of it. So I knit, so you pick the loop up onto my left hand needle. I put my needle into the back of it and yarn round needle through and off, and I've got 7 stitches now. So I've done that, made the stitch. So it's telling me now to, there's an asterisk, so I know now that I've got to rib 3 and make a stitch to the last 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, make a stitch. So pick it up with my right hand needle, I put it on my left, and then I can then easily knit it then, she says, hopefully. How did I do it? Oh, there we are. Pick it up with your left hand needle, through, round, off. So that's an extra stitch. So now I've got to do another 3. So that's purl, knit, yarn to the front, purl again, and then there's a loop, that loop there, knit into the back of it. So my needle's at the back, I've got another stitch, keeping my wool yarn still at the back, knit, yarn to the front, purl, yarn to the back, knit, and then the other another loop there, pick it up and knit it. Here we go. So again, the next stitch is a purl, so a yarn to the front, purl, knit, purl, the yarn, there's the yarn between the stitches, bring it up, put the needle into the back of the stitch and knit it. That's a knit stitch, so it's knit, yarn to the front, purl, knit, pick that loop up there, take my right hand needle and make it form a stitch, yarn round needle, through and off. Next stitch is a purl, yarn to the front, purl, yarn to the back, knit, yarn to the front, purl, yarn to the back, because the pick up stitch is going to be a knit stitch, knit the stitch. So there we go. Next, leaving the yarn at the back because the next stitch is a knit, yarn to the front, purl, yarn to the back, knit, pick up the stitch with my left hand needle, put my right hand needle through that loop to form a stitch, bring the yarn to the front because the next stitch is a purl, knit, yarn to the front, purl, yarn to the back, pick up the loop with your left hand needle, put your right hand needle through that loop you've picked up, yarn round needle, through and off, and you've made another stitch. Yarn to the back, next row is knits, next stitch is a knit, yarn to the front, purl, yarn to the back, knit, pick up the loop with your left needle, put your right needle through the loop, yarn round needle, through and off. There are so many different ways of how to increase stitches, but on the welts this is usually the one that they do. Not always, but usually. And as we go on with this series, I'll show you the different ways to increasing and decreasing. So we've got that. So the next stitch is a purl, so purl, knit, yarn to the front, purl, yarn to the back, pick up the loop with the left, put your right needle through, round and off, knit, yarn to the front, purl, yarn to the front, back, knit, pick up the stitch with your left needle, right needle goes through that loop to form a stitch. And it says here to the last 5 stitches. So I know I've got 8, so this is going to be my last increase. Yarn to the front, purl, yarn to the back, knit, yarn to the front, purl. I'm putting my yarn to the back because the next I need to knit this loop, so pick my loop up with the left, yarn through the right needle through the loop that I've just picked up, round, through and off, and I've made the last increase stitch, and it tells me then to just rib to the end. So it's knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. So that is the increase row all done, and it tells me I should have 60 stitches on. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60. So I know I've got the correct amount of stitches on. Now it tells me to change to 4mm needles, and the first row is a purl row. So put my other 3¼ centimetre needle to the side. I pick up my number 4mm and I purl. So remembering you on your purl rows, the needle goes into the front and you keep your yarn to the front, so it's in, round, through and off, 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 in, round, through and off. And I'll just purl this row. Now if you would like to, if you have any questions, or you would like to see a pattern, a different stitch, or you would rather me do, say, granny squares showing you the different stitches, then please leave a comment. Let me know what you would like to see, and I'll do my best. The reason I picked the project that I'm doing today is because I want to help you familiarise yourselves with knitting patterns, because they are more or less all the same, except when they're Fair Isle or different brands. You have different styles of creating their patterns, and I do believe this is I think this is a Cedar. Is it a Cedar? No, it's not. It's a BHKC. Oh, British. Oh, sorry. British Hand Knitting Confederation Limited. So, you know, kind of. And another thing I've just noticed as well, they do 1 centimetre and 1 inch tape measure on the pattern, which is good. You've seen me use the centimetre one. So I'll finish this row off for you, and next time what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the pattern. I'll go through the cabling. There is pattern either side of the either side of here, but I'm going to just make that plain knit a row, purl a row, because I think I just want to concentrate on the cable. I'm just going to obviously I'm going to adapt it so it's easier for you to follow. So when I come back, I will have done the first cable, and then you can, I'll go through the next cable with you. So, we're just about done. I'm just on the last couple of stitches, and that is today's cuff, welt, rib, whatever you call it. That is that. And you always can tell if you make a mistake with ribbing, say, because as you can see, it kind the knits are all knit and they are stand proud, and the pearls dip, so it's kind of mountains and valleys. That's my best way of describing it. So the knits are the mountains, the pearls are the valleys. It goes like that. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed. Any questions or you want any help, just leave a comment in the comment box. And thank you so much for joining me on Knitting for Beginners series. Until next time, until next time, everybody, happy knitting. Bye bye for now.